Hello, classic rock fans. I am reporting just a couple of days after seeing Jerry Harrison of Talking Heads at Summerfest in Milwaukee on the 4th of July. Jerry was playing a show called 50 Years of the Talking Heads, so it was very much a celebration of his time with that band. This was the first time I've seen Jerry Harrison in concert, although not the first time I've seen him at an event. Subscribers to this channel might remember that I reviewed Stop Making Sense 2023 when that concert film was re-released to theaters. I saw it at the Oriental Theater here in Milwaukee, and Jerry Harrison was on hand to talk about the film before they did the screening. He didn't answer any audience questions, but there was a Q&A with a host, and that event was awesome. And I think we got that to happen here because Jerry is local. He's from Milwaukee originally. And then I think he came back and did an event doing the same exact thing at the Pabst Theater, and they charged a lot more money for it. So I didn't go to that because I had already seen him at the Oriental Theater with the film. Well, anyway, I guess in 2026, the Talking Heads are celebrating their 50th anniversary, not by touring, because they don't do that anymore together. And if they were going to reunite, it would have been in 2023 when they were talking about Stop Making Sense, but that came and went. So it was, I guess, up to Jerry to celebrate that legacy alone here in Milwaukee at Summerfest. And I'm so glad he was able to do it because David Byrne had come through Milwaukee earlier this year, but his show sold out. And when I checked for tickets a month or so beforehand, they were either all gone or the ones that were available were so crazy expensive that I had to pass and I missed out. And if you see David Byrne in concert nowadays, he does do plenty of Talking Heads material, but it's also among his solo work. This set at Summerfest, Jerry Harrison was just there to do Talking Heads music. And I'm totally fine with that, although I am also a fan of his solo catalog. I think Jerry Harrison and Casual Gods have two great records in the late 80s, particularly that first one from 1988. Rev It Up, Cherokee Chief, Perfect Lie, Breakdown in the Passing Lane. If you haven't listened to Jerry Harrison and Casual Gods from 1988, I really recommend you give that a listen. That is a lost gem of the 80s for sure. At the very least, his single, Rev It Up. That song is awesome. So there was a part of me that was holding out hope that he would find a way to fit Rev It Up into the set list. But given that he was playing at 5:30 in the afternoon, that was unfortunately not in play. They gave him an hour, and it's not hard to fill an hour with Talking Heads music. And unfortunately, we lost some time in that hour and a whole song because of technical difficulties. Before we even get into this set list, I have to start off with the worst part of this show, and that was that there were audio issues that delayed the start of the show that affected Jerry visibly on stage during other songs in the show and made them skip, of all songs that we had to lose, Burning Down the House. My favorite Talking Heads song, perhaps Talking Heads' signature song, that was planned for their show, but Jerry had to cut it because of, I guess, these ongoing audio issues, which had this tech guy coming out on stage multiple times to swap out a whole amp or tinker with Jerry's keyboard. And I'll tell you, Jerry looked very frustrated, very flustered at multiple points during the set, and that was a bummer. And it's frustrating to me, not just because we lost a great song, but because I saw multiple shows at the Uline warehouse stage this year at Summerfest, and just about every one of them was held back by technical issues. If you saw my review of the Don Felder concert, Don Felder had to skip a song, again, one of my favorites, Heavy Metal, because of some technical issues. And he had to do all of his pre-song remarks in one chunk in the middle of the show as the tech crew figured it out, which absolutely threw him off his game because it made him do things out of order and affected the show in a negative way. I saw Gene Simmons on the night of Friday, July 3rd, and I didn't talk about it in my review, but there were technical issues, although they sorted it out a little bit sooner, or at least he was better at masking the fact that they were having some technical issues. And then last year at Summerfest, there was that whole Sebastian Bach incident that I talked about, where Sebastian had mic issues all night and had tech guys coming out to try and fix things on stage as he was singing. In that video, I put the blame for the problems really on Sebastian Bach because I thought it was his fault for swinging the mic around like a lasso. But seeing multiple artists have their shows negatively impacted by technical issues all on this same stage this year, plus I heard from someone I know about a different band at Uline having technical issues, that I think it might be the stage. And if that's the case, then Summerfest really needs to get their shit together with this stage. Whoever's in charge of the Uline warehouse needs to get this sorted out. And I know this sounds selfish, but at least for me, because I see a lot of shows at the Uline every year, and I was genuinely robbed of seeing performances of 2 great songs that were originally planned, but had to get cut because of whatever audio issues were going on at the time. As a fan, that's incredibly frustrating. Summerfest tickets have gotten pretty expensive, at least compared to what they used to be. So if we're going to pay that much to get in, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that the audio goes over a little smoother. My experience this year, unfortunately, was negatively affected by repeated technical issues over at the Uline warehouse stage. And that is really unfortunate. That's all I'll say about that. Complaints aside, let's just talk about Jerry's show. So Jerry and the band come out on stage. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes for them to get whatever audio issues sorted out. And then they launch into E Zimbra, which is a really fun way to open the show. There's a lot of different musical pieces going on all at the same time. Great way to get the crowd interested early. After that was Psycho Killer. One of the Talking Heads' best songs, was on this song, but I noticed that Jerry is able to sound a lot like David Byrne on certain songs. So that was great. After that was Cross-Eyed and Painless, Houses in Motion, and Slippery People, all of which had the crowd on its feet, and everybody was dancing. And, I talked about Hank Azaria playing in the same time slot the week before. Hank Azaria and his Springsteen tribute band got the crowd on its feet for about half of the first song, and then most people sat back down until like the last 2 songs of the set list. I thought that was just because of the time of day and the age of the crowd. Well, Jerry Harrison got the people on their feet immediately, and I don't think anybody sat back down. And the crowd size was about the same, and I would say the age of the crowd was about the same as well. So to be clear, I'm not ragging on Hank. I think this is more a compliment to Jerry Harrison because people in Wisconsin, we know him. He's local. He's a hometown hero, so I don't think anybody wanted to sit down for him. Another factor was that the weather was sort of working against him, but in a backwards way, it was, I think, maybe helping out. It was raining when his set started. Not heavily. It was a light drizzle, not enough to drive people away, but enough to get the benches wet. So I don't think anybody really wanted to sit back down because the benches were wet. So in a weird way, I think that crappy, drizzly weather kept people up on their feet. And the music, of course, that Jerry and the band were playing was enough to get people dancing for like the whole set. So the crowd had a really fantastic energy. And I can just tell you that's a delight to be a part of. After Slippery People, they slowed it down for Heaven, which I know a lot of people love. That's just not one of my favorite Talking Heads songs. If we had to lose one track, I wish it was that one and not Burning Down the House, but it is what it is. And then after that, we got This Must Be the Place, Life During Wartime, and their cover of Take Me to the River. Now, for This Must Be the Place and Take Me to the River, Jerry did not sing lead. Instead, he had these 2 female backing vocalists who took lead on each song. One took lead on This Must Be the Place, and the other took lead on Take Me to the River. And those ladies were awesome. Really, his whole band was fantastic. There was a female guitar player who was really good. There was someone who had an electric wind instrument, which really impressed me. If you saw my review of Jammy Buffet, the jam band tribute to Jimmy Buffett, those guys had an electric wind instrument, and that was awesome. So it was really cool to see another one of those not so long after the first time I had seen one, because you don't see that instrument on stage too often, and when you do, it's a treat. So definitely kudos to Jerry's band for that. So it's just a shame that the band was handicapped to a degree because of these technical issues, because when they were on, they were great. Like, they nailed it on every song. For example, when they did Life During Wartime, if you've seen Stop Making Sense, there's this great moment in Life During Wartime where the entire band, Talking Heads and all of their backing musicians, are like running in place as part of the song. It is an iconic visual. It is awesome. It's one of the best parts of that concert film. Well, Jerry and his band recreated that when they did Life During Wartime. So Jerry and the band is up there all running in place. And that was just fantastic, because I didn't need him to try and recreate every little memorable moment from Stop Making Sense, but having a very obvious reference like that was a real treat, because of how much I love this concert film, and it recaptured a little bit of that magic. And then another thing they repeated from Stop Making Sense was during the closer, Take Me to the River, they did that softer and softer bit with the chorus, as you know, they would sing Take Me to the River, quieter and quieter and quieter, until they're basically whispering, and until basically the whole building and the film gets like silent. Jerry and the band did that for us at Summerfest. There's a moment where he said to the crowd, you can sing along, and that was pretty funny. But again, they're not leaning too hard on Stop Making Sense, but it's just enough of a connection for all of us to think of that great concert film. And again, recapture just a little bit of that magic in his performance. And I think that's really the whole point of doing an anniversary show like he was doing. Again, 50 years of Talking Heads, a concert with no solo material, just Talking Heads music. And I think Summerfest was really lucky to get him to do that, because the Talking Heads should be celebrated. I think it's awesome that they were able to get one of those Talking Heads to do a show like this to celebrate that legacy. Because we all know at this point that there's not going to be a Talking Heads tour ever again. David Byrne is having too much fun playing the same venues with his solo band that he would play if the Talking Heads got back together. You know, not to put too fine a point on it, but Jerry Harrison is 77. So much like everybody in the whole genre of classic rock, we can't assume any of these people are going to be touring for years and years into the future. We have to appreciate them while we have them, and while they're still able to perform at a high level. And I'm happy to say that at 77, Jerry Harrison is performing at a really high level. It was really cool to see him. I hope I get a chance to see him again. But just to wrap up here, despite the technical issues, this was a fantastic show. The catalog is so strong. The performances were so strong. And even though Jerry looked flustered and irritated through a good chunk of the show, he still put on a really fun and engaging performance. He sounded great when he sang. And it was just so cool to watch him perform that catalog. So all I wanted from this show was more. You know, I wanted to hear him play Burning Down the House. I wanted to hear them go deeper into the Talking Heads catalog, and I wanted to hear them play something from Jerry's solo catalog, because I really love those Casual Gods albums. So hopefully I'll get another chance to see Jerry in the future. If you've seen Jerry Harrison in concert recently, or if you were at this show, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. How does he stack up against David Byrne? I think when you're talking about bang for your buck, you might actually get a little bit more with Jerry when you get down to it. But that might just be me being a Milwaukee homer, because, again, he's a hometown hero for us. And for my fellow Wisconsinites, Jerry Harrison versus Daryl Stuermer. Who you got? If you didn't know, Daryl Stuermer, guitar player for Genesis, Phil Collins' solo career, another iconic hometown hero for classic rock. I love both of those guys. Both of those guys have made so much amazing music that I'm a huge fan of. But if they go head to head, I think I might just give the edge to Jerry Harrison. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Otherwise, please check out some of the other concert reviews I've done on this channel. If you're a fan of classic rock, I guarantee I've reviewed a show from a band or artist that you're a fan of. And if you are that fan of classic rock, please check out the podcast I do. It's all about classic rock. We've had a lot of fantastic guests on this year, and we have a lot more cool stuff coming down the road, so stay tuned for that. For all that said, I will just say thank you very much for watching this video. Definitely go see Jerry Harrison if he comes to your town, and keep rocking.